Good afternoon, Dan.
Hey, John, how are you, mate?
I'm fantastic. Welcome to episode 42 of the SmartB Sports Update podcast on this lovely 22nd of January 2024.
Yeah, it's just a pity about the Aussie carnage at the Aussie Open, John. There's none left. They're all gone. Unfortunately, it's far too frequent, John, that the Australians don't get into the second week at the Australian Open. And unfortunately, Alex de Minaur, the last domino to fall last night to Andrei Rublev in a very long five-setter. Disappointment, John, but we'll just move on. And it's to be expected. Things sort of went exactly as we thought they would with Alex de Minaur. I'm not sure if you watched the match, John, but
I fell asleep. I watched the first two sets and then fell asleep.
Yeah, okay. I was actually out watching your favourite UFC yesterday, John. So I didn't get back till it was about 4-1 in the first set to Rublev. But from that point on, I watched the whole match. So I actually stayed up till 11:30 and watched it. John, I thought Alex de Minaur had the better of play for a lot of the match, winning sets 2 and 3. Had that 2-1 lead, and he really he got under Rublev's skin there for a while. Rublev, it was doing his head in. I'm not sure if you saw his outburst, John.
He was having mad tantrums. I saw this morning.
He just couldn't control his emotions, Rublev. But then at the end of the third set, he managed to settle down and switch on, and he's taken those last two sets 6-3, 6-love, John. I guess with Alex de Minaur, John, I mean, we can sit here all day and say, you know, how well he did and how he maximised his potential and everything, but I think he's got to decide what does he want out of tennis. Is he happy just making the fourth round every time, or does he want to take that next step? And if he does want to take that next step, well, there's maybe some changes that need to be made.
Well, he made some statements today and yesterday about how his mindset's now changed because last year he was just would have been proud to have gone a 5-setter with Rublev, you know, and had that same kind of sentiment. But now he's disappointed with himself, so he has changed his mindset to be like he feels like he's not good enough and he's not doing good enough and he needs to do better. That's the start of a change in any athlete. You know, you have to change your mindset and then you can change your outcomes. Got to 10th. He'll stay at 10th. At least for another week. And then you have to see what happens in the next tournaments to see if his actually mindset is changed. I thought from what I watched the first first two sets. From what I watched, I thought he was calm, collective. He played really well. But then, to wake up in the morning and see he lost the last two, 6-3, 6-0, I just thought to myself, he must have choked.
I think, to be honest, John, in the last set there was nothing he could do about it. Rublev just hit him off the court. I think the last set there was nothing he could do. But that fourth set he had some opportunities, and in the first set he had opportunities as well. On set point in the first set he served a double fault, so he gifted Rublev that first set, and it was Rublev's advantage as well. So if de Minaur hadn't a double faulted, had won that point, he would have got it back to deuce, and so that double fault was it was extremely costly for him. And there was another instance where he double faulted to be broken later in the match at a crucial stage. So this idea that, you know, he's doing everything he can, you know, and he's not making any mistakes, and he's just not quite good enough. I'm not so sure about that, John. There were a couple of examples I've just given where it was well in his control and he let it slip, and Rublev got the better of him.
They were talking about before that he actually changed his serving action in the last few tournaments.
I just wonder. He looks very lean to me. Is he at a point where he needs to get in the gym and bulk up, put some hard muscle on, and
is he 23?
24. Yeah, he's 24. I sort of think, does he need to bulk up, put the muscle on in the gym, and add some power to his game? Does he need to, you know, Leighton Hewitt's obviously done a great job with him, but Leighton Hewitt's not his coach. He just mentors him during the Australian summer. I think Peter Luchak is his coach. Does he need to look? Does he need to look for another coach to maybe take that next step? I mean, Darren Cahill would be ideal, but he's tied up with Yannick Sinner at the moment. Does he need to look at someone like an Ivan Lendl who took over with Andy Murray when Andy Murray couldn't win a major, and then Ivan Lendl took over and won 3 majors with him? So I think there's 2 things that Demonor could look at straight away: bulking up in the gym and maybe looking at a coaching change to take that next step.
He's pretty little.
Yeah. That's just one thing that just jumps out at me off the bat. Put some muscle on, spend some time in the gym.
I thought he was really quick though. That was the thing. Like, he was really quick, much quicker than he had been previously in the last year. So I was like, if he's going to be putting on muscle, he's got to make sure he maintains that quickness and speed at the legs is not something you can really build. You can't get faster, substantially faster by doing weights or anything like that. But you can lose it by putting too much bulk on. So he has to maintain that fine line, because if he puts on too much bulk, he can lose that speed in his legs from running, and he won't be able to get across the court as quick and stuff.
If he doesn't do anything,
it's
just going to continue as it is.
But yeah, I don't know, so he. In those early sets that I watched, it was, Rublev, they talk about it and everybody talks it up. His forehand is just, his weapon. He has that weapon. And I thought, during the first 2 sets that I watched, we talked about it before. You mentioned it, Demonor just doesn't have a weapon. He has nothing.
No.
There's nothing. I don't know if you can manufacture something like that. But there was a few shots that he placed that he seemed on top, and then he placed it perfectly for Rublev's forehand. And then it was just over, when Rublev's return was just that's, yep. So it's you do need something like that. And if you don't, I feel I don't know, from a mentality standpoint, if you don't have a weapon, then you won't have that much respect for other people's weapons. And so that's what I mean. Alex de Minaur, in a few of the points, he was on top in the rallies, but then he placed it perfectly for Rublev to return, and that's actually what lost him some of those rallies. So it seemed to me a little bit he didn't have enough respect for Rublev's forehand to be able to keep it out of the way on those pivotal points where he needed to. And he's not the kind of guy who can work his way back, I guess. Once he got down that 6-3, it is a real shame. But, it's a long year. Maybe he can do better.
Yeah, it's a long year. In that second set, there was... he actually did really well and hit a really good winner around the net after the ball had come off the let court. And that just really got under Rublev's skin, and Rublev just lost it at that point. And then he lost it for a set. He wasn't himself for another set after that. Lost that second set, then lost the third. But then he got his head screwed on again, Rublev, and that last set where he won 6-love, he just really caught fire. And I was just waiting for a point in that last set where it would fall apart, where Rublev would have another dip. I mean, he was running hot. I thought, is there going to be another dip? And there just wasn't, John. He looked like he was cramping up or something at 4-love up, and you thought he was having real trouble moving, Rublev, and the commentators were sort of going, well, hang on, it may not be over. If this guy can't move around the court, de Minaur's still a chance, even though he's down 4-love. But it wasn't to be, John. Rublev closed it out.
Yeah, it's a shame. And, yeah, Australia's never win. We very rarely get past.
Rarely get into the second week of Grand Slams, especially with no Ash Barty anymore.
Rublev is going to play... Is it Sinner now?
Yeah, he plays Sinner now in one of the quarters, and Djokovic plays Taylor Fritz in the other quarter. Those are the only 2 quarters assembled at the moment. I think what we'll do, John, we'll run through the rest of the Aussies, and then I think on Thursday we'll have a closer look at who's left.
Yeah, we'll know who's left.
Our focus on Thursday will turn to who's left in the tournament and who's contending for the titles.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so de Minaur beat Flavio Caboli in the third round. No point really focusing too much on that.
Smashed him.
We've just talked about his 4th round match against Rublev, obviously. Storm Hunter had a really good run, John, but on Friday, unfortunately, she was bundled out by Barbara Krejcikova. That was a three-setter. And on Thursday, John, Max Purcell did really well against Casper Ruud, pushed him all the way. The 11th seed Norwegian, who's a three-time major finalist. Purcell losing 10-7 in that match tiebreaker in the fifth, unfortunately. And, Grigor Dimitrov beat Tanasi Kokkinakis, and that was a four-setter as well, John. 13th seeded Dimitrov of Bulgaria, beating Kokkinakis. I think I was just going to talk a bit about Kokkinakis, John. He's 27 now. He's never reached the third round of the Australian Open in singles. He's only reached the third round at majors twice in his career, both at the French Open in 2015 and 2023. His highest singles ranking is 65, which I don't think is good enough for someone of his ability and his talent. He's been injured a lot, but he's played at every major since the start of 2021, John. So that's a good run now that he's had without injury problems. He did win that 2022 doubles title with Nick Kyrgios at the Australian Open. But doubles is sort of tennis's version of reserve grade, John. If you win a doubles major, it's like winning a reserve grade premiership. And he beat Roger Federer at the Miami Masters in 2018. This is the ability of this player, John. And I just feel like too often we're not getting enough out of him. He's not fulfilling his potential. I feel like his body language is off in matches. He's lacking in energy. You want to see a lot more positive body language from him and a lot more energy, John.
He's just Nick Kyrgios from Wish. It's everything he says, everything he does, it just seems like a poor imitation of Nick Kyrgios. The same age, came up at the same time, played doubles together.
And I sort of think Kyrgios, in a lot of ways, hasn't been a good influence on him.
Yeah,
I think a lot of Kyrgios's habits have filtered onto him.
That's sort of like, I kind of feel like Nick Kyrgios is famous, popular, got really high ranked and all that kind of thing, and Kokkinakis went along for the ride and imitated, and he did everything that Nick Kyrgios did, but never achieved the high ranking or the
never made a singles major final like Kyrgios
and
did.
that's what I mean. He's just Nick Kyrgios from Wish. It's like the guy that's around underneath. And if Nick Kyrgios wasn't there, if Nick Kyrgios doesn't exist, I would say that Kokkinakis wouldn't behave like Nick Kyrgios like he does.
No, I think he's had a really negative influence on his career.
Yeah. And so it's another one of those letdowns. So in that group, I guess you could say it's the previous generation. Like if you say Minaur is the current generation of Australian male tennis players. In that previous generation, it was Kyrgios, Kokkinakis, Tomic, those guys. Like that was. Not all of them are like that. They never lived up to their potential. They're all kind of knobs. So it's no surprise to me.
You find it hard. You're sort of watching this player on TV and you're seeing all these people in the crowd get so passionate. And you sort of look at it and you go, well, how do the people in the crowd get so passionate when the player himself doesn't seem to care that much?
Because we're Aussies.
It's just, it's like... it's mystifying to me. You're looking at him and you're going, does this guy really care? Does he want... He looked to me like against Dimitrov, and I watched the whole match. I covered the match. He looked like he just did not want to be there, John.
Yeah, and that
was the impression you were getting.
It's the behaviour that he imitates from Kyrgios, but he just doesn't do it as well.
It's not cool to care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's he just doesn't do it as well. So it's one of those things, like, I want to go watch Nick Kyrgios. We've got Nick Kyrgios at home, and then you get home and it's Tanasi Kokkinakis. He's just like a crappier version of Kyrgios that it isn't endearing when he does it, It's just annoying. When Nick Kyrgios does it, it's like, another great news story from Nick Kyrgios. But when Kokkinakis does it, it's like, oh, God, he's such an idiot.
And you sort of go, like, he's 27 now. So you sort of think these conversations about, he needs to change this or change that, you sort of go, it's a waste of time, John. No, it's just not going to happen.
He can't do anything.
It's not going to happen.
Not the movies. Like, he can't really do anything. He'll just float around for another year or so and then fade off into nothingness, There are other guys that are kind of in the same boat when it comes to rankings and things like that, like Millman, he just recently retired. Same kind of boat when it comes to the rankings and things like that. But their attitude and their behaviour and their personality gets them through. Whereas with Kokonakis, they'll fade into obscurity and no one will care. Because it's like, yeah, he's just not a likable character, unfortunately. And, there's actually a whole crew of them as well. Like, they're, I know, like, there was a thing on, who was it? Like, wasn't it him who was dating some other tennis player's girlfriend or something years ago? There was a bit.
Yeah, there was some.
Yeah, and his brother was on the radio and things like that and said, like, terrible things. I feel like there's a whole crew of them, kind of like Nick Kyrgios's entourage.
And the problem is, if you're that player who doesn't care and you think it's fine not to care when you're playing, once you retire, no one cares anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So he'll just fade away into obscurity and disappear, and he won't even be a footnote on Australian tennis's thing. Like, in 10 years, 15 years, people are still going to be talking about Nick Kyrgios because he's like Nick Kyrgios.
And he made, to be fair, he made a Wimbledon final.
Like, Thanasi Kokonakis may be a footnote on the notes about Nick Kyrgios. But, he'll never be mentioned as the kind of guy that was like, oh, we had some great Australian tennis players in the 2020s, like Nick Kyrgios and Thanasi Kokonakis. No, it's going to be Alex de Minaur. So, yeah, that's him. Anyway. It's always been him. I can't bring myself to care about anything that he does.
Yeah, well, it's hard because he doesn't care, John. The other Aussie to go out, Ayla Tomljanovic lost to Jelena Ostapenko in round 2. That was on Thursday night. A late finish in that one, 6-love, 3-6, 6-4. The first set was done in under 20 minutes. So she was right out of it from the start. Ayla, she came back to win the second set, but yeah, just unfortunately she was beaten by her arch enemy, Jelena Ostapenko. Yeah,
and they hugged each other and stuff and all that stuff is over.
To be fair, it seemed to be a warmer than you would have expected greeting at the net at the end of that match.
When asked about it, they both said, no, we don't care about that anymore.
Yeah,
you guys are the ones continuing.
Reluctantly moved on, I think, John, from that.
So...
Okay.
That's it. No more Aussies. So all we really care about now is Djokovic and Alcaraz getting through to the final.
So on Thursday, John, we will take a closer look at who's left now that the Aussies are all gone.
A lot of people are tipping Sinner to actually win it, though.
Sinner's the only player who hasn't lost a set yet.
Yeah.
But in the men's, John.
Did you watch the Djokovic match?
Was that the one against...
Yesterday? It was
almost. I was out watching your UFC yesterday.
6-love, 6-love, 6-3. It was almost 6-love, 6-love, 6-love.
He's come good again, hasn't he?
Yeah, he looked like Djokovic.
Yeah, after that slow start where he took 7 hours to win his first 2 matches.
It was and like it was really for the footage. I watched like some highlights and I was watching it on my phone and stuff like that while at the UFC, but it was really funny when his opponent finally won a match and the crowd gave him a standing.
What a game,
yeah. The whole crowd gave him a standing ovation. And even he knew, like, he was in it, like, yeah, cool. Like, I know you're not mocking me, but you're kind of mocking me, but I deserve to be mocked right now.
So you'd have to think, just looking forward, John, you'd think Djokovic beats Fritz and Sinner beats Rublev.
Yeah. So
we are looking very much likely to have a Sinner v Djokovic blockbuster semi-final. So that'll be an absolute popcorn, sit on the couch, watch that one, John.
That'll be great. And onwards to some... Oh, great, our internet just disconnected. No. On to some other tennis news. The Australia Day debate continues and sports have to be involved.
I put the tennis and the cricket together on this one, John. Cricket Australia have decided they are going to be just overlooking Australia Day.
They did it last year as well.
Yeah, so they're going to do that again. They're not going to acknowledge it. Or they're going to acknowledge it in passing, but they're not going to make reference to Australia Day. That's what Cricket Australia are going to do.
And Australian Open is going to do the same.
Same as the Australian Open, yeah.
They did the same thing last year as well.
Yeah, so the Australian Open are going to have First Nations Day. That's fine. They're going to have an Australian Open Pride Day, an Australian Open All Abilities Day, and an Australian Open Grand Slam for the LGBTI plus that will run across from January 26 to 28. So they're going to have all of those things, John, but they're not going to be doing anything for Australia Day.
Well, they kind of are doing something for Australia Day.
Well, they are, but it's not directly related to Australia Day.
That's one of the things they do where it's like, we're not going to celebrate Australia Day, but we're going to have all these celebrations on Australia Day.
And the Hall of Fame inductions would normally take place on January 26. But because that's Australia Day, they're moving that off Australia Day, and that's going to be on January 24. So Leighton Hewitt's going to be inducted into the Australian Tennis Hall of Fame, but it's not going to be on January 26th. They've moved it because that's on Australia Day. I would have thought Leighton Hewitt would have wanted it to be on Australia Day.
Yeah,
but anyway, that's going to be on January 24th.
He wouldn't have a choice. I honestly could not care less about what day Australia Day is, or no matter what day they put it on, if there's a sporting event on there, they're going to do something far out. But I'm going to the park with the kids we're just organising it today. My dad and my sister are getting back from overseas, and we're going to go to the park with the kids. Like, that's my Australia Day. But really,
I don't think it should be a crime to celebrate your national day.
But that was what there was on this morning. One of the news people in the morning shows was arguing with Anthony Albanese about it, like for him to make a stand either way. Stop sitting on the fence.
Yeah, you won't get him.
No chance.
No chance in hell. All he cares about is getting his photo taken.
Then the internet is like, it's not the Prime Minister's job to take a stand about this. And then half the internet's like, it is the Prime Minister's job to take it. So it's just like a stupid argument that no one will ever win. I mean,
you could do something. You could have some sort of small ceremony.
Well, that's why they do it. It's a farcical nature. Like, the cricket has an event on Australia Day that's specifically scheduled every year on Australia Day because it was Australia Day.
And then they said, we're not going to do anything
to Australia Day. Tennis is like, we're not going to celebrate Australia Day. Instead, we're going to have all these celebrations on Australia Day. And like that's the farcical nature of it all. Like, we're not going to talk about Australia Day because, it's offensive to some people and stuff like that. So what we're going to do on Australia Day is we're going to do something else that isn't celebrating Australia Day, but it will be on the day that Australia Day normally falls on. It's just, so you are celebrating Australia Day.
An Australian Open decides not to celebrate Australia Day.
It's just a stupid thing. Like, I just can't stand it. I have not been able to stand the whole argument for years and years and years. And I've never seen anyone present any adequate thing that would sway me either way. I don't care if we shouldn't have Australia Day on that day or whatever. Every single country has a
national day.
Yeah, national day.
Yeah.
They
the
have
day
one.
Just happens to be on that date, whether you like it or not.
And they'll give you all these things about it, like what day it was picked and all that stuff. But simple fact is, Australian Open is scheduled every year to be played during the Australia Day. Like, Australia Day is in the Australian Open, and that's why the Australian Open is on at that time, actually. The cricket has they start a test or something like that every year on Australia Day.
Well, they have if it's an ODI or a test, they have something on that day.
They schedule something for it every single year. City of Sydney has all these festivals and fireworks and stuff every year. There's all these traditions and stuff around that have nothing, that are just they're there. So if they decide to change the date or whatever, they just change it to the 24th. Because all the Australian Open cricket is scheduled for
the 25th, whatever.
27th, I don't care. I just like on the public holiday.
It's sporting bodies getting involved where they shouldn't be getting involved once again, John.
They always think they should be involved in politics. They're just Taylor Swift to me. Yes. Anyway, we're going to have a political discussion about the merits of Australia Day being on January 26th some other day. But honestly, I just want the public holiday. And it's really stupid to me to schedule things on a day that's a certain celebration day and then say we're not going to celebrate it and highlight it so much. It's just hypocrisy and stupidity.
It is Friday this year, isn't it? Yeah, so it doesn't affect us on Thursday. No. Yeah.
But it's just like I said, it's like, we're not going to celebrate Australia Day. No. We don't support Australia Day. So what we're going to do on Australia Day is to celebrate over the weekend of Australia Day. We're going to have all these celebrations that are not for Australia Day. You're like, dude, why do you keep saying Australia Day if you're not celebrating it? So yes, and as usual, we have had one of those epic middle of the morning matches in the Australian Open. Medvedev and
Rusevori.
Yeah. This happened on
3:40 a.m. finish. It was Thursday night / Friday morning.
It was the day of the our last podcast.
So, John, my view on this is, it sort of depends. Like, it'd be easy to come out and say, "Oh, it's ridiculous that they're playing tennis at that time," and I guess if the match started at 11:07 p.m. So in this particular instance, you could go, well, yeah, they shouldn't be starting at that time, and so it is ridiculous to finish at 3:40 a.m. But I think this idea that, you shouldn't have any match finish at that time, well, it depends on the circumstances. I mean, there was a match between John Isner and Nicolas Mahut at Wimbledon in 2010 that finished 70-68 in the fifth set. And I believe it went over, I think it went over 11 hours. It was an 11-hour match.
Yeah.
That stretched out over, I think it stretched out over 3 days.
Yeah, they changed the rule or something.
Yeah, so they changed the rule because of that. But that's an example where you go, well, that's such an extraordinary event that if the match happened to finish that late because you happened to be sitting through an 11-hour epic, well, all right, well, that's pretty crazy. That's something I might want to see, So I think matches probably shouldn't be starting after 11 p.m. But sometimes you need that unpredictability there, and that unpredictability added a lot to tennis where you'd have these again, 70-68 in the fifth set. How ridiculous is that? But now they've brought in these tiebreakers in the fifth set to stop that.
They have one every single year. There's always one every year across one of the majors, except for Wimbledon, because they just don't do anything. But they have one every year. There's always every year, and to me it seems like the AFL Grand Final that gets the draw. They've had a couple of draws, and they say we're going to do something to fix it. And then they never do something to fix it. And then it happens again and goes, don't worry, we're going to do something to fix it next time. It's like this one. We're going to do something to fix the late finishes. But they won't. And then they'll have another one next year because it helps with advertising as well.
And they said that the early start this year, the extra day at the start, was to help with the late finishes. Like, no, all that was an extra day added to round one.
That's what I mean.
All that was.
We're going to do something about it. You didn't really do anything about it.
It only had an impact on round one. Once round one was over, that extra day meant nothing.
Yeah, they never actually do anything about it. And the thing I worry most about it is how the people get home. I know Melbourne is like they brag so much about how the arenas are in the middle of the city and stuff like that, so public transport's real good, but there isn't any public transport at 3:40 a.m. So how do people get home? That's what I worry about.
Well, if it's that late, the trains will be running again.
They're about to start at 20 minutes.
If it gone for another hour and a half or so, the trains would be running
calling
again.
into work that day. I'm not coming today because I just finished the tennis at 3:48. It's going to take me an hour to get home, and then I've got to sleep. And also, I don't understand how anyone can stay up that late.
So that Wimbledon match, unbelievable, John. 11 hours and 5 minutes it went for. As I said, went over 3 days. John Isner, Nicolas Mahut. Extraordinary. That's 70-68 in the fifth set.
And then, they changed the rules because of that.
No, they changed it. There was another match a number of years later. I think it was 2018. It was Isner again, but against Kevin Anderson this time. It was 26-24 in the fifth.
Yeah.
And that was the trigger. So now, at every major now, the rules are slightly different at each one. But I think, actually, no, the French Open is the only one that's still operating under the old system. The other 3 majors have got some sort of a tiebreaker in the fifth set, or the third set if it's the women's. So that's one thing they have done to try and stop late finishes. But if you're starting at 11:07 at night, you're not going to be doing a whole lot.
I thought they weren't meant to start that late anymore. That was the other thing. I think
so. They've brought in this rule. The tours have brought in this rule for non-Grand Slams, but at the Grand Slams, the Grand Slam decides what to do. So that will apply at the ATP and WTA events outside of the Grand Slams. But at this stage, right at the moment, the Australian Open still have control over that. So
okay, yeah, like I said, it happens once a year, and they don't do anything about it. And they say next year they're going to do something about it, and then it happens again. And it becomes. It also gives them news, and it makes it like they can go on about how epic it was and stuff like that. And broadcasters get more advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, back to Djokovic. So yeah, he just demolished his opponent, but he was copping it from the crowd again.
Yeah, so
it was really severe.
So yeah, this was on Friday night, so it was before that Sunday match. Yeah. So on Friday night, I think he'd had some issues. He'd had some tissues. He was blowing his nose. You could see that he had some sort of a virus. Someone in the crowds yelled out, "Get vaccinated, mate!"
Yeah, his response was to do a really elite ace.
And he got a reaction out, or he reacted to it. He turned his head at that one. So yeah, that was after, and we already mentioned this last time. This was after he had a run-in with a fan earlier in the tournament back on Wednesday last week, where a fan made an insult towards him, and he said, "Come down here and say that to my face."
Yeah. Well,
so Djokovic's battles with the crowd continue, but he continues to march on through the tournament.
After that get vaccinated, mate, when it was everybody should have learnt to shut up, because it was like this just perfect ace in response. Oh, maybe we should shut up, because that's how he responds. He responds with his tennis. So people should stop sledging him and start cheering him. If you want him to lose, then start cheering him and stop sledging him, because that's how he responds, and it's rare. I thought it was hilarious though.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad line, was it? It wasn't a bad line.
But there are some instances where people are cutting a fine line really close to the distracting as well, though, which I'm not liking, because there's been one instance in the Australian Open, I can't remember which thing it was, where it was on serve. Somebody shouted something.
It's just, for me with Djokovic, it's just so cringeworthy, because you can see how much he wants to be liked by the crowd, and they can't stand him, and you got this. People are sort of trying to pretend that the crowd like him when they really don't, and so it creates a really awkward dynamic for me.
Man, people should start liking him. Seriously, just start if you want him to lose, start liking him.
At the end of the match, he'll say nice things to whoever's interviewing him. The crowd will all clap and everything as if they haven't been booing him and heckling him for the last 2 or 3 hours, and then you'll just. Well, it all starts again. He goes to the next match. They boo him while ever he's on the court. They heckle him. At the end of the match, they'll clap him. They'll cheer him. He'll say all nice things in the interview.
Maybe
it's Groundhog Day, John.
Maybe it's his fan club. You know the band Primus? Their motto is "You suck." So when Primus are coming, the crowd will be chanting, "You suck, you suck, you suck." So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's actually his fans. He
actually said that Wimbledon 2019 final against Federer. He actually said that the crowd were chanting Federer, but he actually trained his mind to think they were chanting Djokovic instead of Federer. And I think the crowd were chanting Roger, and he trained his mind to think Novak.
Wow.
So that's how strong he is mentally. He can turn that adversity into a strength.
That's pretty good. I think they should. Really, people should just start liking him. So on to another thing that actually seems to come up every year. Jelena Dokic has opened up about her past struggles.
Yeah, there's one story in particular that I pulled out on this, John. I'm not going to go into all the details. There were so many of them. But so apparently Dokic has said after her appearance at Wimbledon in 2000, she made it to the semi-finals and lost to the then world number 1 Lindsay Davenport. So apparently after this loss, her father, Damir Dokic, who unfortunately seems to have caused her a lot of problems that she's still battling to this day. Apparently her father, Damir, wouldn't let her back in their hotel room after the match because of the loss. and she was only 17 years old at the time. She was left in the players' lounge at the All England Club, where she slept in the corner until cleaners found her at 2 a.m. And she was quoted as saying, "Even if I won, I would still at times be beaten and abused. I had some very difficult moments where I was beaten and kicked and punched to the point of being unconscious," she said. So this Damir Dokic seems like an absolute lunatic and a scumbag, John. And the way she's treated her daughter is just disgraceful.
He got deported, right?
Yeah, who knows where he is now, John. But thankfully she's finally broken free of him now. And, what an absolute piece of work.
All of Australia loves her. And, like I said, every year we get the more stories and more stories. It's clearly like she's going to be dealing with it for the rest of her life. In those kind of circumstances, you always think, like, how much the people around them knew as well. Like that's one of the whole things about the R. Kelly situation. R. Kelly's been sentenced to 150 years in prison or whatever, but how much did the record companies and the his entourage and people around him and everything actually know about the R. Kelly situation? But because he was generating money, they just didn't do anything.
But surely other players would have known what her father was putting her through.
And all these like clothes, but it's a different time now. That was years ago. People are less tolerant in a lot of things because of like Me Too movement and stuff. But yeah, like you really wonder like how many people like knew and didn't do anything. How many people, even in some regards, supported it. Like some organisations supported it because she was making money for them and things like that. It's.
And I guess she, at that such a young age of 17, it's obviously going to be difficult for somebody to break free of such a dominant, bullying father that she had.
Exactly. Anyway, it's very depressing. Seriously, it's really sad because she was such a we adopted her. Australia adopted her as our own.
Yeah, and she played under the Australian flag, and then because of her father, she switched allegiance to Serbia. So
and then came back.
Yeah, so but she had a really good career, John. She got to number 4 in the world. It made a Wimbledon semi-final. So yeah, hopefully she can find some peace now, John.
She was always so little, like a little kid. So we've got more. It's man. One of the things about watching even last night was it was hard for me to continue watching, and I just fell asleep because the commentary is just it's hard to follow.
So what do you mean by that? Like, what in particular is annoying you with
It's just like boring and like nothing they're saying is really like making me want to continue to watch. And Leighton Hewitt comes on and says something, but they don't cut to him anywhere near enough. He was obviously down watching Alex de Minaur.
So thankfully now that the Aussies are out, thankfully the one upside of that is Leighton will move into the commentary box, John.
And maybe it's just I just find everything they say to be irrelevant and like
So. John, after we did our podcast on Thursday, I went home and I had about 10 minutes to sit down on the couch before I had to go to my next job. And I flicked the tennis on for 10 minutes and I nearly fell off my chair, John, because Jim Courier has made a bizarre reference to Donald Trump in his tennis commentary and I just couldn't work it out, John, so I had to write it down and I thought, well, I'll bring it up with John on the podcast. In that Max Purcell-Casper Ruud match that we talked about, Courier was talking about how he played against Casper Ruud's dad. Casper Ruud's dad was a player on the ATP Tour back in the day. So Courier said this, and I quote, "Had a really nice career, but his son has certainly trumped that." And then Courier said, "And isn't that the dream of every parent in the world, ironically, except Trump?"
What? It's irrelevant. What are you talking about? It
sounded to me like... The way he said it, John, it sounded like he planned to say it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. But what is he even talking about? I'm trying to watch tennis.
But don't you think, John, have they not worked it out yet, these celebrities and sports people, the more they talk about Donald Trump, the more they criticise him out of place. It's the job, we've talked about it before, John. Donald Trump is a political figure. Therefore, it's the job of political analysts to discuss him. It's not the job of former sports people or celebrities.
The conspiracy, actually. It's the conspiracy. They're trying to get him in. That's why they keep bagging him, because he gets more popular as they bag him.
It's good, because the more they bag him, the more his supporters go, all right, we'll stuff you. We'll show you next time there's an election.
Ron DeSantis has dropped out of the race now.
Exactly. Another one's gone down, John.
There may not even be a Republican primary at this stage.
So it's just Trump and Nikki Haley, and the way it's looking, she might not last too much longer, John.
She's going to drop out as well.
So I think the moral of the story, John, is if you don't want Donald Trump to get back in and you're an ex-tennis player in tennis commentary, maybe don't criticise him in your tennis commentary and leave that for the political analyst.
What is he even talking about? Just
so you can imagine why I nearly fell off my chair listening to it.
Like, just stick to tennis, bro. Anyway,
that's what's annoying. He's a really good tennis commentator.
And
don't talk about Donald Trump.
The commentary is so hard to watch because of things like that. They just babble on about nonsense that has no reference to anything, or they have some stupid hidden message, and you're just like, okay, man. Oh, cool, Leighton Hewitt. All right, back to. Oh God, they're still back to it. It's just so annoying, and we don't need to hear about Donald Trump. Well, we like to hear about Donald Trump because we get the clicks, but we don't need to hear about Donald Trump in the tennis commentary.
Meantime, Ron DeSantis drops out.
Gone.
And there's 2 remaining.
So, Vivek is gone. He was the one that I liked, just because he spoke so well. It's like a Indian Ben Shapiro. A lot of sound bites on the internet. I don't even know. It might be Pakistan. I don't know.
We've got to be careful.
So what's this about Carlos Alcaraz?
Yeah, so I was covering this match on it was Thursday or Friday, John, can't remember which one, but this match between Carlos Alcaraz and Lorenzo Sonego of Italy. So he and Alcaraz played out an epic long rally, John, and at the end of it, both players high-fived at the net. I've never seen that before. I've never seen players high-five before you only ever see it happen at the end of the match.
Yep.
I've never seen that happen before the end of the match after an epic long rally. So, well done to Alcaraz and Sonego. A really a class act Alcaraz is. It might be my new favourite player.
That's what I was saying to you the other day. He's the guy coming through. Like, Djokovic is on the outer, and he's one of the ones coming through.
I think I'm on the Alcaraz train now, John.
Just everybody should remember he's not Rafael Nadal, just because they're both Spanish.
He's won 2 majors. Rafael Nadal's won 22. So
just because they're Spanish doesn't mean they're the same. Just like Vivek can be Indian or Pakistani.
He's got 20 more majors to go before he catches Rafa. So he's got a way to go.
But he's the guy he's one of the new generation that's coming through. That's one of the reasons why Djokovic will never be liked, because there was the guys ahead of him that everybody liked, and there was Djokovic the villain. Now there's the guys coming up behind him that everyone likes, and Djokovic is the villain. If it was guys like Tsitsipas isn't really that much liked, or what's the Medvedev isn't that much liked. If they were coming up and there was no Carlos Alcaraz, people would have to default to liking Djokovic. But unfortunately, there's too many nice lads coming through. Minaur is one of them as well. Yeah,
he is. Yeah. But well done to Alcaraz. Very classy gesture, that one.
Yeah, definitely. That's it for tennis now. So Thursday we'll have the week 2 previews, and we'll know everything that's happening.
We'll be getting close to. I think by then we'll be at semi-final time, John. So we'll be able to look at the business end of the tournament on Thursday.
And we have the BBL results. As I said the other day, it's Heat versus Sixers and Perth versus Adelaide. Sydney Sixers are through to the finals because they finished the highest and also beat Brisbane Heat by 39 runs.
Yeah, really well done by Ben Dvorak in that one. John took 5 wickets and led the Sixers to victory. So great effort.
And Perth Scorchers are out. It was a massive upset. They were the favourites, defending champions.
Yeah, that was in the knockout,
Yep, Strikers beat them by 50 runs. And so now, tonight, this is Monday, and they will play Monday night, so it's around 3 o'clock. So they're going to play 4 hours. Brisbane will play Adelaide, and whoever wins will play the Sixers on Wednesday at the SCG for the 2024 BBL final.
That'll be the final, so we'll have that result on Thursday.
Yeah, come on, Sixers. Hopefully
Yes.
the Sixers win.
Yeah, well, the way Ben Twarges is bowling,
Maybe they
I think they're a good chance, John.
Maybe they can get some of their stars in. When does the next West Indies test start?
Yeah, it starts or the day. I believe it's the day after the BBL final. I believe it's Thursday, John.
See, so like Steve Smith could go and play. Oh, we don't have internet. Okay, look it up.
I'm pretty sure it's the 25th, which is Thursday. So
Yeah,
unfortunately, the test stars aren't going to be.
Smith could just go and play.
Get David Warner's helicopter.
Yeah, exactly. Just to open. No, maybe not actually. But that's it for the BBL. BBL's almost over. It finishes up this week, and then we move on to
meaningless one-day internationals after the Test series against the West
and then
Indies.
2020s, and then we're off to New Zealand to play 2020s and one-dayers, and
there are a couple of tests in New Zealand too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So obviously the Steve Smith fallout continues.
Yes.
Marcus Harris is not happy with it. I've seen a few other people who have commented on it too.
So Marcus Harris, he's not happy about being overlooked, John, for Steve Smith. He wonders if Australian selectors, quote, want to pick a specialist opening batsman anymore. He's just he's been left scratching his head. I think he said the unknown was frustrating with it. He said, I didn't really know anything until I got the phone call last week. And then you go, well, why did you expect to know anything before you got the phone call? I mean, what do you want? Do you want them to give a running commentary for you on a daily basis of whether you're going to be picked in the test team or not?
Yeah.
And John, he averages just over 25 in 14 tests. He's had his go and it did not work. Averaging 25 is not good enough for a test opener. So now they're looking elsewhere. I don't really know why Marcus Harris is complaining. I don't know what he's got to complain about.
Because they're all complaining, and the only person who actually has a right to complain is Bancroft.
Because he is the leading run scorer in Sheffield Shield cricket for the last two
should have been it.
2 seasons.
But because it was such a conjecture thing, basically from the day that David Warner was conceived, people were arguing over who should replace him. People were arguing over who should replace him. May have been even mentioned as far back as the Big Bang. People started arguing over who should replace Dave Warner.
One of the great mysteries of our existence.
Everybody,
who's going to replace David
every
Warner?
single cricketer, not just openers, seems to think that they should be the one to replace Dave Warner, and has some kind of has some kind of issue with the fact that Steve Smith replaced him instead of them. They should just be taking issue with the fact that Steve Smith replaced him when Cameron Bancroft was the clear choice. And Steve Smith could stick at his preferred spot of fourth. Like you said, Marcus Harris has done his dash. He's out. But he's just another one in a long line of guys coming to the news and going, it should have been me. Nobody was talking to me about it. I don't know why it was Steve Smith and not me. No, I don't know why it was Steve Smith and not Bancroft.
It's like there's three certainties in life, John: death, taxes, and that David Warner's position will be brought under scrutiny.
Guys, it's over, and they're still talking about who should replace David Warner.
I don't get it from Harris. I don't know what he expects. You could argue that they don't even really need to ring him. I mean, all their job is to pick the team, and if he's not in the team, well, all right, suck it up, mate.
Sometimes in state of origin things, the coach will call, but that's just because of massive changes that are happening, and
they're not obliged to call.
Yeah.
All their job is just to name the team, and that's it.
They don't even have to tell them they've been named before. They just name them.
The team's named. You're either in it or you're not. Do you really need to get a phone call letting you know one way or another?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. But he's just another in a long line of guys.
Averaging 25 in 14 tests, and he's complaining that he can't get back in. There's a lot of players with a better record than that who haven't had a look in, who've just been overlooked. I don't know why he's complaining.
I can think of one. That's Cameron Bancroft.
Yeah, well, Bancroft's test record isn't great, but he last played Test cricket a long time ago, and as we've talked about, his Sheffield Shield form's been sensational.
Yeah, it's
so things.
But there
have
are so many
in the last 5 years.
every day. Someone new is coming out and complaining about Dave Warner's replacement. I'm telling you,
I don't know what we would have talked about with cricket this summer if David Warner was out of the picture. Provided us with.
Well, he's out of the picture now and still going.
Yeah.
But the West. Look, the West Indies want to play more tests to end their struggles, right? They should play more tests, and they should play tests against teams that are better matched to them. Because the West Indies used to be a force,
yes.
And now
long time ago.
Now they're nothing.
So that was their quickest defeat against Australia in 93 years, John.
Well, they bowled really well at the beginning, and Australia had to rely on Travis Head to save them.
Yeah, he did that 100 from Travis Head.
Yeah, like they were. I can't remember exactly what it was, but in the first innings, they looked like they were on the way to. It was going to be like the same type of thing. But then Travis Head went and hit 1 million. It was 119. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, saved the innings and left Australia needing to. Then Australia got them all out for 120 in the next, and left Australia 26 to go. They bowled really well in the first innings until that point. But yeah, they haven't won or appeared in anything in 1,000 years. They're not.
So that they didn't last a combined 100 overs across both batting innings.
Yeah.
So there you go. So it's now 1995. Australia won the Frank Worrell Trophy, and so the West Indies haven't come close since, John, and that's 29 years ago now. The Australia's had their firm grip on the Frank Worrell Trophy.
Yeah, that's what they used to be a force. So they are currently ranked 8th in the tests thing. That kind of speaks a lot to the vast gap between Australia or the first couple of first, second, and third, and then down the top 10. But in 1964, they were first. ODIs, they're ranked 10th. Were they in the World Cup?
I don't think they were, John.
No, they weren't. No, Netherlands got...
No, they weren't in it, John.
Yeah, that's right. It
Netherlands and Afghanistan were in it, yeah.
But in 1981, that's what I mean. When I was a kid, they were like a force. They were first. Yeah. And in T20s, they're 7th now. As far as, not so long ago, 2016, they were first in T20s. But they've lost a lot in the past few years.
They're all interested in playing basketball there now, aren't they? They're sort of over cricket.
That's unfortunate.
But this, this is an issue, John. I mean, they came out last summer. We've got them back again this summer.
Yeah, they should be playing tests with other teams that are more suited to them. If they want to play more tests, stop coming to Australia.
Well, they have got 9 tests scheduled in 2024, and Shamar Joseph's debut was very impressive, John.
Yeah.
But, John, I got to be honest, John, I think that this test summer, I think it's been really patronising from, Cricket Australia to just expect people to just suck up this, Australia just completely obliterating their opposition as if, that's fine. And people keep saying, Pakistan were competitive. No, they weren't. They didn't come close. They didn't come close to winning any of the 3 tests.
Who said they were competitive? Did they watch any of the tests?
Adam Gilchrist, after someone put out a fake tweet from Adam Gilchrist, which the fake tweet made a lot of sense, saying Pakistan haven't won anything for 35 years. Adam Gilchrist then came out and said, no, I didn't say that. Pakistan, they were competitive. They did well. No. They didn't get close.
No,
they did not get close.
They didn't do anything. They were just Pakistan. There was no competitiveness.
The first test they got absolutely thrashed. The second test, I think Australia won by 79 runs. I mean, that's still a fair. All right, it's not a complete thrashing, but that's still a fair amount of runs.
Pretty hardcore,
And the third test, I think Australia might have lost one. The David Warner got out just before they got the runs on that last day.
Yeah.
So I think they won by 9 wickets, Australia.
Yeah. It was
8 or 9 wickets. It was one or the other.
8
wickets, yeah.
My internet's back.
So your internet's back. So the first test, I think it was 300 plus runs.
Yeah, 360.
360. Second test was 79, I think.
Yep.
Third test was 8 wickets.
8 wickets,
right.
yeah.
So, and then the West Indies was Was it 10? I think it was 10 wickets.
10 wickets, yeah. The Australia versus the third test, they were all out for 115 in the second innings.
Yeah, and we're just
competitive in
this
what?
This is the thing. I remember, and I love Kerry O'Keefe, John, but remember when he said, I wish people wouldn't talk about Aden Fanua-Blake in November. Well, Kerry, there's a reason why we're talking about Aden Fanua-Blake in November. It's because Australia is just obliterating their opposition and it's not interesting.
Yeah, but it's only going to be good if India come, and that's it. They're the only people that are going to...
Thankfully, they're coming next summer. And I mean, I don't mind England coming out and getting thrashed because it is entertaining to watch England get thrashed. But
that's all that matters.
But if it's anyone else, we want to see a contest,
Yeah,
John.
so... Well, Australia's going over to New Zealand to play tests.
Another one of these two
test series.
Mini series.
And that'll be competitive because it's in New Zealand. You know, if they came here, it'd be a different story. But yeah, it's got to be competitive. I don't know. Like, I guess a lot of people are because Pakistan had the highest ratings and all that kind of stuff. The Pakistan Test series. Only Perth ruined it for everyone with attendances as well. So maybe people do like it. That's what people like about cricket, Australia smashing people. But yeah, like I say, that's so boring to me. If someone's getting smashed, I just turn it off, turn it over. You know, it's
got to have an impact on their ratings.
Yeah.
Not having a contest.
Well, apparently they had the best ratings ever for summer cricket. So, yeah. Anyway, West Indies needs like I said, they should play more tests. They should play more tests. But they should play tests against people who are of their level because you don't get better by getting smashed. You get better by playing people who are actually slightly worse than you or slightly better than you. So that, you know, where are the West Indies off to? I don't really care. I don't know.
Who would know? John?
I only care where Australia's off to.
They have 9 tests this year, so...
But my favourite commentator, Ishiguro, has made a bad commentary gaffe.
Yeah, it was a gaffe, John. So the West Indies are bowled out in their second innings. And they were ahead by 25 runs, so Australia still needed to chase down 26 runs to seal the win. And Ishiguro screamed out, "Oh, the match is over, it's all over." And then you just heard this deadly silence in the commentary. So obviously at that point someone's got to her and said, "No, hang on, well, it's not over yet. Australia still need to get 26 runs." So a bit of a bad blunder there from Isha, John.
Maybe she wasn't paying attention because the test was so boring.
Yeah, maybe.
She was watching something else on her phone, like Homer Simpson in church, standing up and screaming, "It's good, it's good, it's good to see you all in church today." Yeah, everyone makes mistakes. I still like her commentary. It's very good commentary.
She is a good commentator, but I thought that was worth putting on our rundown.
So bad.
You got Jim Courier talking about Donald Trump, and you've got Ishiguro declaring the match is over when Australia still need 26 to win.
That's so funny, man. Definitely not paying attention. But that's it for cricket. We'll have an update on when the Sixers win the BBL, and we'll see what else David Warner comes into over the next couple of days. What other mentions of David Warner we'll get over the next couple of days? Because without David Warner, there ain't no cricket news. Even though he doesn't even play cricket anymore.
Not Test cricket. He does play.
On to rugby league and continuing our theme for honestly, guys, it's just our opinion. Mm-hmm. Titans preview for 2024, not the Dolphins that I accidentally researched. So I'm completely unprepared. So whoever that person was that time was like, "Oh, these guys aren't prepared." 100%, I am not prepared. So
I can...
What suburb are the Titans located in again? I believe they're a Victorian team, right?
So I've gone through what I do with the Bulldogs. I've done the same with the Titans, and I've named a predicted or a likely round 1 team. So I'll just run you through that. So I've got Jaden Campbell at fullback, John. Mm-hmm. Got Alofi Khan Pereira on one of the wings. I've got Philip Sammy on the other wing. I've got AJ Brimson and Brian Kelly in the centres. Mm-hmm. I've got Kieran Foran and Tanner Boyd in the halves. Moaki Fotuaika in the front row along with Big Tino, John. Tino Fasuamalaawi.
Yep.
The hooker is Sam Verrills. I got Bo Firma and David Fafita in the back row and Isaac Liu at lock. On the bench, I got Aaron Clark, Jamin Jolliffe, Keenan Palacia, and Isaac Fasumala-Awi. I'm not sure if he's a brother or a cousin of Tino, but there's some relation there.
I didn't do any preparation, so I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So there you go, John. Obviously, it's going to be Des Hasler's starting
first
with the
year.
club.
Yeah.
You got any thoughts on?
Yeah, we went through who's the most overrated coach. Is Des Hasler a myth or? And I was kind of the opinion he's always been a bit of a myth. So I did do a little bit of research on Des Hasler, and I found you can't draw anything from first year, whether he's taken over a team or what. He did some good things in first years. He's been at 3 clubs before as a coach, and the Bulldogs, when he got there, he took him to a grand final his first year. Mm-hmm. First stint at Manly, they dropped, I believe, and second stint they went up in the first year. It's like there's not, or maybe the other way around. Again, unprepared.
Okay, so in 2003, before Hasler arrived at Manly the first time, they came second last.
Yeah.
2004, Manly finished 13th. Yeah. In Hasler's first season with the club. So not an initial impact there, but in 2005, he got Manly into the top 8. They made the 8 in 06 as well. Then in 07, they got into a grand final. 08, they won the premiership. Yeah. So he did build up to some success there, absolutely. So before he did have an instant impact at the Bulldogs. Before he got to the Bulldogs, they missed the 8 in 3 out of 4 seasons, including they won a wooden spoon in 2008. They missed the 8 in 2010 and 2011. He took over in 2012, made the grand final, made another grand final in 2014. So made 2 grand finals in his first 3 seasons, coming into a team that struggled to make the top 8. So I think he had an impact there. In 2018, Manly finished second last. He took over in 2019 and they reached the finals. So he does, I guess, in 2 of these stints, he has had an immediate impact. Yeah. In one of them, he has not.
And if the one he didn't have an immediate impact was when he was debut. He hadn't learned anything yet, right? So, you can't really draw much of a conclusion from that, him not having an immediate impact, because he's also had clubs where he's had an immediate impact, and he's not having an immediate impact was 2003, 2004. Yeah,
it's a long time ago.
Yeah, so you never know what Des is going to do. You never know what how the team is going to play once Des takes over. He might turn 2 forwards into the halfbacks.
Yeah, he'll have some sort of trick shot up his sleeve, John.
Now they don't have, on paper, they don't have the best team.
No.
They don't have the worst.
No, not the worst, but I think they're heading that way.
They don't sit. I don't just think they sit in the middle. I think they sit a little bit lower when it comes to from a team. What happened to David Fafita? He's there, right?
Yeah, he's in the back row. Yeah, he was in the back row in that.
So it's a big waste of money.
Team I put together. Yeah,
It's a big waste of money. Now their draw is actually one of the worst.
Yeah, I've got some notes on their draw. Yeah. So they play the teams they play twice: the Dolphins, Cowboys, and Broncos. The Warriors, Knights, Sharks, Dragons, and the Sea Eagles.
Yeah, so some easy ones and some super hard ones in there.
Yeah.
They play 12 top 8 teams. Well, 2023 top 8 teams. 12, which is and how many games they play? It's actually quite a lot.
Teams they play once. Everyone else they'll play once. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
run through them.
They have a really easy start to the season.
The Dragons in round 1. They got the bye in round 2. Then they got the Bulldogs round 3, and then the Dolphins in round 4.
So an easy start to the season. Again, this is based on last year's 2023, which you don't know what's going to happen, and we've already said some things will change. One thing that's going to really hit them. So I did do a little bit of research this morning, but I've got it open on my screen again. So they don't have any buys after round 17. And they have to, so they're playing last 10 straight games, and finishing off the season with against Penrith. Mm-hmm. So if they're pushing for finals, their run at the end is going to be super hard because no buys at the end. What year is it next year? 2024.
This year, 2024.
Yeah, this year. Sorry. Yeah.
So in terms of their turnarounds, John, I think they've done pretty well with the turnarounds. They've got 17 games with 7+ day turnarounds.
Yep.
5 games with 6-day turnarounds, and only 1 game on a 5-day turnaround.
That's pretty good, yeah.
So they can be happy with that. They've got 1 Thursday game, 2 Friday games, 12 Saturday games, and 9 Sunday games. So I think the fact that a lot of their games are Saturday or Sunday, that's helping them with the turnarounds.
Yeah.
The free-to-air network, Channel 9, obviously don't find them very appealing, John.
Their run home, because I have done a little bit of research on every team to pick my ladder for the year, right? And this is one of the things that was noted to me about the Titans is their run home. That's what's really going to kill them. With that, no buys in the last 10 rounds. Their last 6 are Broncos, then Sharks, then Dragons, then Roosters, then Knights, then Panthers. So if they're in the middle of a fighting for the 8 type situation, I can't see them making the 8 actually, because their run home is going to kill them. It's going to knock them way down. Like I said, no buys. They've got one of the hardest runs home actually across all the clubs. If the last year's ladder holds true, right? And that was the other really thing about them. They just haven't done any recruitment because
Keenan, Palacia, and Harley Smith-Shields, John.
That's it. Because Des Hasler, that's pretty typical of Des Hasler when he comes in, right? He doesn't do a lot of recruitment in the first year, but then he screws the salary cap the next year. Well, he recruits really well the next year and then screws the salary cap up 5 years down the track.
Well, he'll have a plan, John. Don't worry about
100%.
it. But Keenan, Palacia, Harley Smith-Shields, their gains, their losses. Aaron Booth, Patrick Herbert, Cruz, Leeming, Sam McIntyre, Thomas, McKaylee, and of course Toby Sexton to the Bulldogs.
They haven't really lost anyone. They haven't really gained anyone. But I would expect that next year they'll be big in the player market. They did extend David Fafita as well. It's just such a big waste of money. He's been such a letdown to me. Look, I can't see him with a lot of movement. What did they finish last year? So they finished
14th. One above the Bulldogs. 14th.
Yeah, 14th. I can't see them. I think Des Hasler is going to do something to them that will make them really unique based on their team. He'll have some weird plan that other teams won't be able to comprehend, won't be able to work out, and it's going to take them a while to work out. Yeah. But that run home will really kill them at the back end of the season. So I expect actually a quick, rapid climb. And they got an easy opening, a cushy opening. They're going to beat the Dragons probably, and they're going to have a bye. Then they're going to have a go against the Bulldogs, which they'll probably beat, based on last year. Then the Dolphins, which is easy, another easy one. Cowboys, Raiders, Sea Eagles. It doesn't start getting super hard them until round 8. So I expect a really quick boost, then a kind of petering out, and then to drop actually right at the end of the season. They got a couple of hard runs in there. From that round 8, it goes Warriors, Storm, Cowboys, Knights, Broncos. It's hard. And then then the rest of the season, once they hit that round 17, they're in lots of trouble.
We're going to get to the new rule discussion shortly, John. But I think that's something that as much as we don't like the new rule, I think Des Hasler's eyes will light up, John.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He'll be rubbing his hands together with this rule change.
He's going to come out with something weird that.
He's the nutty professor.
Where it's even going to be from the opening kickoff or something, the Titans will become the team that kick off short. I
think they'll do it. It wouldn't surprise me if they do it on every kickoff now.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's going to come out with something weird that will, and it will especially mess with those low-ranked, low-level teams.
But the Titans are a team that are hard to get interested in.
Yeah.
Des will make them interesting.
Yeah.
So I actually think it's a good fit that Des has gone there. Just a couple of other things for the Titans as well, John. Des is obviously going to have a decision to make on the fullback. Could be Jaden Campbell or AJ Brimson. It could be rookie Keno Keeney, the fleet-footed rookie. He might come into consideration as well. Yeah, I think Tanner Boyd will get that half spot alongside Kieran Foran there. Tom Weaver, he's waiting in the wings. He made his debut late last season for them, so he might get a look in at some point, John. There's always injuries throughout the year. Bo Firma, he'll be back in the back row. So this is a big plus for the Titans. He missed the whole of 2023 with an ACL injury. You mentioned David Fafita before, John. He's had surgery in the off-season. He's likely to be fine for round 1, ready to go.
Maybe he was hurt all year because I thought he had like a pretty quiet year by what he's meant to be.
Yeah, well, possibly. Well, hopefully that surgery gets him right, John. And, hope we'll see how Keenan Palacia goes, this recruit, John. They'll be hoping for big things from him as well. So where do you think they'll finish?
Well, I expect they run home. I think throughout most of the year they'll sit around that 8th, 9th, 10th type position, and then drop down to around the 12th. I have them in my ladder at 12th because of that run home. Okay. What about you?
I've got them 13th, John. I just can't see. I know Des will have some magic tricks up his sleeve, but I think there's just their side. They're just lacking a lot of strike. Kieran Foran, we all know the class of player Kieran Foran is, but I'm surprised he's still playing at this point, John. I'm surprised his body hasn't completely broken down on him at this point.
Came close.
I think he can't have long left in his career, John. And, Big Tino will do a job for them up front. As you said, they need more from David Fafita. But
Kieran Foran's 33. Surely this will be his last year.
Yeah, it's 33 going on 40, I think, John, with all the injuries he's had. But apart from that, John, apart from Foran, who's breaking down, Big Tino and Dave Fafita, who, again, as you said, hasn't hit his straps for a little while now. There's really not much to sort of crow about from a Titans
that's what I mean. They don't have the worst team.
Yeah.
But they don't have a good team. A team that you look at and go, oh, that's a good team.
Yeah, I wouldn't give a Des Hasler coach team the spoon. I don't think Des Hasler coach teams win the spoon.
This is Kieran Foran's last year on his contract as well.
Yeah, I think
so this will be his last year.
I think it will most definitely be his last year, John. But I'll slot them in at number 13 on our
So our ladder so far for Dan is Bulldogs 12th, Titans 13th, Dragons 14th. So nice. Tigers 17th. Copping a lot of flack for that one, by the way.
Sorry.
You're copping a lot of flack for that one.
Having the Dragons.
The Titans. The Tigers at 17th.
Oh, am I?
Then I have the Bulldogs at 11th, the Titans at 12th, the Tigers at 15th, and the Dragons at 17th, that no one seems to care about. That's our preview. Next week it will be the Dolphins that I have lots of notes for. Wayne Bennett coached Dolphins.
Yeah, you won't need to do any prep for that one.
Cool. I got the Sunday off. No, wait, it's Wednesday. Wednesday off.
Yeah.
So there was that rule change that was announced basically 10 minutes before we came in on Thursday, and now there's been obviously some clarification around it, a lot of discussion on the internet around it. So the rule is confirmed. Penalties are now removed completely for teams who kick the ball out on the full or don't make the required 10 metres from kickoffs and dropouts. So no matter what the intention is, it's play the ball from the point the ball lands. Now, I went and looked on the internet, on all the social medias. I found internet threads on Reddit and stuff like that when the rule was announced. Not a single positive comment. Not a single person even had anything level to say, devil's advocate. It's the internet. People will always want to argue. Now, on Reddit, they found things to argue about people's posts, but nobody disagreed. They would argue about things like punctuation and statistics and try and find things. Nobody could go I totally disagree with you and I think this rule is a good idea. Every ex-player in the media, Scott Sattler came out today and said, nope, bad idea. No need to change it. Why are they doing it? It's not a good idea.
So, John, if we take the line dropout, for example, right? So, there's supposed to be a deterrent for taking a short kickoff, or it's a high risk, high reward play, and so if you get it wrong, there's supposed to be a harsh penalty for it. There's that's why there was a penalty if you get it wrong and you mess it up. because, you've been trapped in your in goal, and the punishment for that is you have to drop the ball out to the other team. And if you want to take so much of a risk as take a short drop out to try and get the ball back, well, that's going to be very difficult. It's not easy to execute.
Yep.
A drop kick to go 10 metres on the fly and have one of your chasers catch it, very difficult to execute. And so if you don't execute it, well, the penalty's there as a deterrent for taking that sort of a risk. And given that deterrent's in place, a lot of teams would just kick long and not worry about it. But now that penalty deterrent has been taken away. And so now the deterrent's not there, so that means that pretty much, and I said it in the last podcast, pretty much every line dropout now is going to be a short line dropout, because teams are now not worried about if they start the set. If the other team starts a set 10 metres out or starts at 35, 40 metres out, they don't care. There's not much difference.
Yeah, I saw an internet stat, and you got to remember 95% of the stats on the internet are made up. Abraham Lincoln said that. That said something along the lines of it's 40 to 45% more chance of scoring from if you start a set from the 20 to the 30 than it is from the 0 to the 10. So your failure of it not going far enough means you are, again, like internet stats are made up, like 40% more likely to defend a try.
Yeah. So prior to this rule being brought in, the only deterrent to doing the short dropout was that you could give a penalty away.
Yeah, give away 2 points.
Now that's been taken away.
Yep.
So now the only difference is, well, you either start your set 10 metres out or 40 metres out, and like you've just said, you're almost better off having it start 10 metres out as a defending team than 40 metres out.
Exactly.
So now, every dropout pretty much is going to be a short dropout.
Yeah. It's just not... And, like, nobody likes them. That's the thing. During the year, we actually talked about it. Like, we didn't like it. During the year, we saw an increase in it where some teams were getting really good at it. And everybody was complaining about it. The way to go for a rule change, if you needed a rule change, was to stop them from doing it, not encourage them to do it more. It's not going to create more tries. It's just going to create more annoying, like within 10-meter defense, like actually, 5 plays and then a kick defense over and over and over again. 5 plays and then a short kick or a grubber or whatever, a kick to the wing. Actually, the kick to the wing is the most boring try in rugby league.
Any kicks,
Like
you don't want to see tries from kicks. You want to see real tries.
The wingers have the most exciting tries in rugby league because they do those amazing acrobatic dives and stuff like that. But those out leaping someone or whatever is not that exciting, to be honest. Like they don't ever win try of the year just because someone jumps real high. And that's what you're going to see. If tries come from it, they're going to come from grab a kick through or kick out to the wing to out-leap someone and try and score. It's just not a good idea. And nobody can understand where it came from.
Yeah, I mean, that's the dropouts. I wonder what's going to happen on the kickoffs, whether that will much will change with that.
I don't think that will change that much because the kicking is based on attrition, right? So I need to kick the ball as far as I can to make you run less, so you can't kick the ball as far as I did. And so from the kickoff, I don't want you at the 40, the 60-meter line to start your set, because then your end-off set kick will go further and it'll make it harder for me. But you could also, if you were a mad scientist, you could go for that and then it doesn't matter and then allow a dropout. So then you get the ball back and so on. I guess
if you go long off the kickoff, you're probably making the first tackle, maybe 15, 20 metres out from the line.
Exactly.
Whereas if you go short, they're making the first tackle on the 40.
Yes, that's not good.
That's best case scenario.
That's not good.
So you got a team starting their set on the 40 as opposed to the 20.
Yeah, no chance.
But obviously it's going to come into effect more towards the end of the game where the team needs to get possession.
That's what I was going to say. Like at the end of the game, where you're only a little bit down. It used to be like, oh, boys, there's like 10 minutes to go and we'll do a short kickoff. But it's going to be like, oh, mate, there's 20 minutes to go. We could do a short kickoff because it won't really matter. You know, and you might see some teams tactically use it to get the ball when they're on top. You know, like they're winning 20-0 and then the opposing team scores a try and they've got to kick off. Well, screw it, we'll get the ball back. You know, because you could get the ball back at the 40, but I don't think that's going to have as adverse effect as the short dropout, it will ruin dropouts. I want to see Pat Richards kick at 90 meters. Like do a 90-meter dropout, 60 meters on the fly and then bouncing, you know, like, but it's just going to be terrible. They were bad enough when there was a chance of a penalty. Now there's no chance of a penalty. It's going to be terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, well, the deterrent's been taken away, so the floodgates are going to open, John.
We'll see how many there are over the course of the weeks, and I'll complain about it every week. AFL, we have some news. So, you know, I mentioned late last year that netball, that two teams had withdrawn their licenses and they were added two new teams to the netball. Collingwood actually owned one of the teams that withdrew their license. Yeah. So that's a bit of background. Mm-hmm. Now, a few days ago, they posted a video on their social media saying with the players celebrating their new training grounds. Mm-hmm. And everybody immediately recognised it as the Collingwood netball team's old court. Netball, hoops were still there. Yeah. So people started commenting on the tweet that, you know, that's the netball court. And then other people started commenting, did a bit of research, found out that Collingwood took a $15 million grant from the government to refurbish their thing. The club also made $8 million around $7.56 or something million in profit last year. Closed their netball thing because it was the CEO at the time, new CEO at the time, said it was not profitable. That the entire organisation made a profit, and also took $15 million in a grant from the government. Mm-hmm. So when this came out, people started to criticise them, and they started to hide the comments on their posts, delete people, and block people. It was we're just getting flooded, really, like just getting flooded. Now, one thing you should never do when you're under fire like that is start blocking people. Actually, as a business, if they have if they're saying something like, nobody was being rude about it.
Yeah, like it's legitimate.
Yeah, it was a legitimate comment.
It's not lunatics giving you an unfair spray.
There was no... I saw some videos of the hidden comments and stuff. There was no swearing. There was no abuse.
That's dangerous.
It was all just, hey, that's the netball court. Yeah, they spent $15 million in government money on it. Wait a minute. Didn't they make $8 million in profit? How did they get a $15 million government grant to close sport? Collingwood social media was like, oop, hide, delete. People then commented, hey, my comment got deleted. And then the person would get blocked.
Yeah. What do they say? They say it's not the crime, it's the cover-up, right?
Yeah. So it's like now it's become a thing. And Collingwood has no response. This is that they have not come out and answered anyone's questions. Now, basically, the entire club is...
So they got a $15 million government grant when they had an $8 million profit.
Yep. And they closed a sporting organisation because it wasn't profitable and used that $15 million grant to refurbish it into more training area for their team that was already... had training.
I don't know how they're going to weasel their way out of that one, John.
they need Novak Djokovic and Dave Warner's PR team or something. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And this is another one of those things that was popping up on my social media feed as it happened yesterday. And then I saw the news about it this morning. I was like, wow, this is crazy. It just got worse and worse and worse, you idiots. It's terrible, I think. Like they didn't stick with the netball. Netball is, I think it's the 8th highest attended and watched sport in Australia, something like that. The team wasn't profitable, but you made a profit as a company, and taking government money.
You close a team down because it's not profitable when you make an $8 million profit.
Yeah.
And then you take a $15 million government grant and use the money to renovate your headquarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. I think they should have. Like, that's one of the things I really hate about government grants in sports. It ruins everything. Like, they really. People that shouldn't get them.
The juggernaut that is Collingwood, the AFL club. Do they really need government?
No, absolutely not. But their netball team might.
Yeah, well, they would need it.
Yeah.
If they weren't closed down, yeah.
Exactly. If you're going to take a government grant, take a government grant to increase the occurrences of like junior development in your netball team and things like that. Don't take it to close the netball team, fire everybody, renovate the netball court that you previously had, and then give it to your AFL team. And there was some people who, of course, like tried to justify it and say, yeah, but the AFLW can use it as well. It's not about men versus women, guys. It's about the fact they took a $15 million grant, got found out about it, and tried to cover it up by blocking and deleting people on social media.
15 million, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who their president is now, John, but Eddie Maguire used to be. He would have had fun dealing with that if he was still there, but thankfully for him, it's not his problem. It's the new president's problem.
Jeffrey Brown.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
It's his problem now, then.
Yep. So, yeah, that's the AFL. Yesterday, there was UFC 297, so did you watch it? You enjoyed it?
I did watch it, John. Yeah, obviously. John, I thought... I thought it was a pretty fair result. I thought Du Plessis probably had the better of the fight. Seemed to land more strikes than Strickland. So obviously you know a lot more about it than I do, John, but I think we got the fair outcome there. Yeah,
so I thought Strickland won but was fine with the decision because this is the thing about Sean Strickland. I've talked a little bit about it before. He doesn't get hit, and a lot of those strikes that looked like they were hitting him weren't actually hitting him. So the end stats... that came out when they could finally publish the stats was Sean Strickland actually outstruck Du Plessis by about 50 strikes. Significant. He had a much higher significant strike rate. It was like 183 to 134 strikes actually landed. Because what happens with Sean Strickland, he did a mouthguard test with the UFC, and he was so it's a mouthguard that it does tracks computer data and tracks when you get hit. Mm-hmm. Whole bunch of UFC fighters did it. Mm-hmm. And he gets hit less than any other UFC fighter ever. And also throws more volume because he just likes punching people in the head. And one of the things he talked about when he was on the Joe Rogan podcast is it looks like he's getting hit when actually he's not because he's slipping so late. And that's what the UFC discovered. Like he's actually not getting hit. So a lot of the times you look like he's getting hit. But the main thing about it is, because UFC scoring is a bit stupid as well, if the round are even, which the rounds were pretty even, like round 1 was pretty even, round 2 was pretty even, then Du Plessis did those takedowns, and that makes him win, because he took him down and controlled him, Sean Strickland just stood up. And the first, I think I reckon Sean Strickland won 1, 3, and 5, and Du Plessis won 2 and 4. You'll notice in round 5, Sean Strickland actually started defending the takedowns. Du Plessis didn't get any. Sean Strickland was sprawling on him. And I kind of feel like he realized that I've got to stop letting him get these takedowns, because he was just letting him get takedowns and then standing back up. Like Du Plessis couldn't hold him down. He just stand back up. Yeah. So it's like these takedowns don't matter. But on the points, when a fight is that close, in the back of his head, he probably went, oh, crap, I could be behind here because he's actually hit takedowns on me. Yeah. And he defended them so easily. Yeah, Du Plessis is tired, but Sean Strickland's also tired. And now Sean Strickland has pointed out that because one of the scoring things is damage, who did the most damage. Sean Strickland had way more blood over Du Plessis' giant eyeball. But that came from a headbutt, according to Sean Strickland. If you watch it, I've watched it like frame by frame. It looks like there's a slight head clash, and then Du Plessis connects with a glove. And then after the break, Sean Strickland starts bleeding, so you can't tell if it's from the headbutt or the punch, what actually caused the cut. But yeah, I was sitting with my South African friend, shout out to Gerhard. He was sitting there saying to me after a round, so it's 1-0 Du Plessis, 2-0 Du Plessis, right? 3-0 Du Plessis, 4-0 Du Plessis. I'm like,
he was looking for your validation.
And then we were checking the odds, and Sean Strickland in round 3 3, I think it was, Sean Strickland was paying $1.57 to Du Plessis $2.80. So the bookmakers had Sean Strickland winning. And then round 4, they cut all the odds off. Like it was gone. So, you know, I was watching it, and at the end, Gerhard said to me, "Who do you think won?" I'm like, "Man, I have no idea."
Yeah.
Like I
love how at the end of the fight, both fighters like make out like they've won before you get the result.
Drilled into them.
They both go, "Yeah, we won."
It's drilled into them.
Yeah.
Really, like it's something that they get trained to do.
You got to make it look like
Yeah.
you won.
And the rest of the card was pretty tame, actually. Did you watch the girls?
Yeah, I watched sort of bits and pieces of the undercard.
Yeah, it was
fights,
terrible.
yeah.
It was all terrible. As expected.
That's the thing. I got there at about 1 o'clock. Got to the pub, and the fight didn't start till 5.
Yeah.
So
anyway, because that was a Canadian card.
Air conditioning yesterday.
Yeah, for sure. I went outside to take a phone call and walked straight back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because the Canadian cards start at 2, normally the cards start at 12. Yeah, it was disappointing for Sean Strickland, but he doesn't care. He just doesn't care. He doesn't fight to be a champion. He fights to fight.
He looks like he doesn't have any fear of losing.
And Du Plessis cares. Like, he wanted to be champion. Well done to Du Plessis. He's going to be an awesome champion. But Sean Strickland's like, yeah, I don't care, man. Megan Ogilvy, the reporter, was talking about it earlier. Like, she asked him where his belt is, and he said, I don't know, it's under a pile of clothes in my bedroom somewhere. All other champions have it mounted on the wall and stuff, but he's like, I don't care, man. He's like, it doesn't change my life. I still just want to bash dudes.
I did go down a Sean Strickland YouTube rabbit hole the night before.
Always dangerous.
The night before the fight, John, and it was entertaining. Put it that way.
See, in the press conference on Friday when he was talking about how bad women's MMA is, and he's on the on a panel with like the women there. They're gonna fight for the championship, and then while the women were arguing with each other, Sean Strickland's sitting there going like face palm, like you could tell he's thinking like nobody cares, man. You're like, dude, they're sitting right there, man. Yeah, he's a character. He'll always keep it entertaining, and he's a company man, so he'll fight. I'm sure he'll fight soon as well. He fights like every 3 months. And it's always entertaining. That jab that he does is ridiculous. That was like 135 jabs. And you look at Dricus Du Plessis' face afterwards, and you're just like, that was just from the jab. And Du Plessis said afterwards, like, you don't understand. Like, every time that jab hits you, it's like someone hitting you in the face with a rock. But Sean Strickland's problem has always been his power shots don't have power. Like, his jab is like, that's it. So it was good. That was a good fight. It was like, I reckon, so far, the fight of the year.
The year's 3 weeks.
Yeah, fight of the year, bro. Yeah, and so next month is Sean O'Malley, which is a much bigger card with a lot of fights on it. I would definitely suggest you give that one a watch.
Okay.
It's got a lot of bangers on it. There's only one bad fight, and it's a grapple fight that even I'm not interested in. But yeah, there'll be a lot of good striking in that one. On to other news. I forgot about Cruz Hewitt. I know I've jumped ahead, but Mac Horton has announced his retirement.
Yeah, less than 200 days out from the Paris Olympics, John. Mac Horton's pulled the pin. He's 27 years old. He said, quote, the hunger wasn't there to go to his 3rd straight Olympics at Paris. He won the 400-metre gold medal at the 2016 Rio Olympics. Yeah, in the 400 freestyle. And he won bronze in Tokyo in 2020, in brackets 2021.
Yep.
In the 4x200 metre freestyle relay.
There's some big issues around this, actually. The Paris... Because in Tokyo, the policy was changed about Olympic Village, where as soon as your event was finished, you had to vacate the Olympic Village. And that was due to COVID protocols.
Yeah.
Paris has continued this.
I don't like that, John. I think,
bad.
all the athletes should be able to enjoy the 2 weeks.
You know,
they've got to the Olympics, they should be able to enjoy it.
I think it's actually like a cost cutting. Yeah, and that's terrible.
It's terrible.
That is terrible.
Because they don't enjoy it when they're competing.
Yeah.
They've got to do all the things that an athlete does. Their only time to enjoy the experience is when they're not competing.
You know, swimming, swimming is the first event. So swimmers don't traditionally attend the opening ceremony because they have to compete tomorrow.
And then the second week when the athletics is on, that's when they party.
Yeah. And then so the swimmers now can't go to the opening or the closing because they're all getting kicked out. It is, but I totally think it's a cost-saving exercise. Paris has realised, like, man, the Olympics really cost you a lot of money. You don't make any money. But it's terrible. It's really, really sad.
With Mac Horton, you might remember, John, he won that silver medal at the 2019 World Championships, and he had this run-in with China's Sun Yang.
Yeah, the cheater, yep.
Yeah, so he refused to shake his hand or even stand on the podium.
That's right, yeah.
Alongside him. So
that guy hates Mac Horton, and all of China hates him.
Sun Yang, yeah. So Sun Yang, he got banned for 3 months for a doping violation in 2014 after testing positive for a heart medication that had only recently been added to the WADA ban list and has subsequently been downgraded. Yeah, Horton was quoted as saying Sun is a drug cheat, and he's right. At the Rio Games, and he beat him to the gold medal. So well done to Mac Horton there. In 2020, Sun was issued with an 8-year ban, so was reduced to 4 years on appeal.
It was reduced to 4 years because China pressured the International Swimming Committee to prevent him.
And that was for tampering with the doping control process by having a member of his team smash a vial containing his blood. Horton remains the only male swimmer from Victoria to win an individual gold medal at the Olympics.
Yeah, that thing where what's his name? He smashed the vial was heaps sus. Like, and so I always supported Mac Horton. I hate drug cheats. If drugs are illegal in your sport, take them. You know, if they're legal, if performance enhancing drugs are legal in the sport, like in jiu-jitsu, they're legal in all of the competitions except for the IBJJF World Black Belt, where they test you when you win. Okay, so if they're legal, take them because they help with the recovery. They improve your ability to recover and train. If they're illegal, it's no different to sandpapering a ball to me. Like you're a cheat and you should get banned. And he was like the worst one. Like they smashed took the blood vial back and smashed it and stuff, and then got a proper 8-year ban, and then China pressured them into reducing it. Anyway.
But well done to Mac Horton on a
100%.
great career. An Olympic gold medalist, and you can't take that away from him.
If he doesn't feel it, then it's good that he withdrew himself so someone else can come and take his spot too.
Yeah, he was honest with himself. If he didn't have it in him, that's okay.
Yeah. Cruz Hewitt played. We talked about it on Thursday that he was playing. Yep. Unfortunately, he did go down.
Yeah, Leighton's 15-year-old son Cruz made his Australian Open debut in the boys' singles, lost in the first round at Melbourne Park. He was awarded a wild card into the draw, Hewitt. Feels so weird saying Hewitt and not talking about Leighton, talking about his son. But
you have to say Cruz Hewitt every time now.
Yeah. It feels weird calling him Hewitt and not Leighton Hewitt. Anyway, so he went down in straight sets to 6th seed Alexander Rezegi, 6-2, 6-3.
Yeah,
John. But, great effort anyway to get there. And
Cruz Hewitt's a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And I understand his opponent was 18.
Right, yeah.
And there's a massive difference between 15-year-old athletes and 18-year-old athletes. It's more prominent in physical, not like obviously all sports are physical, but body-on-body physical sports like rugby league. You don't put a 15-year-old playing an 18-year-old rugby league. In jiu-jitsu, we separate them up to 17 and then 18s because when I throw a 15-year-old around, they actually get thrown around. And there's a bunch of people out there that we always talk about, like in jiu-jitsu, like he's going to be a killer when he gets his man muscles. And the fact that Cruz, I think the fact that he even won some games is good. But apparently it was actually a hard battle for his opponent. And as I said, 18 years old.
So Cruz is 15 in the boys' singles, and well done to Cruz. When Leighton was 15, he was in the main draw.
Yeah.
In 1997, his first ever match was at the Australian Open. He was 15, and he lost to Sergi Bruguera in his first ever match. Oh. So Leighton was in the main draw at 15. Not obviously, I'm trying not to compare them too much, John. I mean, it's
they're going to get comparisons forever.
Yeah, he's only 15 years old. There's a long way to go. We don't want to be obviously marking him too hard at this stage, John. Of course not. But it's interesting how he's 15 now and Leighton at 15 was in the main draw.
Yeah, I reckon that.
But anyway,
they Cruz. I
think you'd be asking a lot of Cruz to expect him to have anywhere near the career that his father had.
I would I would also hazard a guess that possibly he's even being held back because Leighton Hewitt understands the pressures of being a 15-year-old in that kind of level. There could also be that. You don't know. Like, none of that's complete conjecture. I don't know. But, like, if I was Leighton Hewitt and I had lived through being Australia's number one tennis hope in the entire universe at the tender age of 15, and my son is now 15 and wants to play tennis, and he's good enough to compete in the kids, I would be like, yeah, just compete in the kids, man. Yeah. Like, just chill. You've got 20 years, 30 years ahead of you.
And obviously at 15, you don't know how good he's going to be, John. You don't know if he'll make the top 1,000 in the world, the top 500, the top 100, the top 50,
so just
top
chill.
10. Like, who would know? You wouldn't know at this stage.
Play the kids.
So we'll just, give him time, obviously. At 15, we're obviously not going to be...
Yeah, we'll see how it goes next year as well.
15-year-old.
We'll see how it goes next year as well. That's it for all sports news. On to social media blower-uppers. Our our favourite part of the day where we get to abuse idiots on the internet.
Yeah, so I've been copping it, have I?
No, not really, but both of us. But you put the Tigers last.
That's all right. I'd rather the comments be there than not be there.
I don't even know how to say this. Ready... Examalaj on the Alex De Minaur videos that we posted. He said he doesn't have the firepower, which tends to agree with exactly what you were saying. He just doesn't have the firepower.
It needs to make some changes if he wants to take that next step, John. He's only made one quarter final, the US Open in 2020, one Grand Slam quarter final at this point, so needs to make some changes to take that next step.
Track Junkie on West Tigers said, stop talking Luai up so much for FFS. Unproven outside that Panthers premiership winning side.
Unproven outside that premiership winning side that's won 3 in a row.
3 in a row, brother.
He's the 5'8" thing.
Also, he's like an Origin player too.
That's like saying Usain Bolt is unproven outside of his 3 Olympic gold medals in the 100 metres.
What unproven, man? He's proven.
Yeah. Novak Djokovic is unproven outside of his 24 Grand Slam titles.
I think, man, people who are buying into that are just buying into that Ivan Cleary, like, kind of salty comments about Jerome Luai leaving, because that's what it's just regurgitating what Ivan Cleary said. Oh, he's unproven outside of Panthers. Yeah, no crap, because he's never played anywhere else. Everybody is unproven outside if they've played for one club. It's meaningless.
What do people want from Luai? I mean, he's playing outside Nathan Cleary at 5'8". Nathan Cleary's the halfback. What's Luai supposed to have done? He's done everything he could have done to this point. He's won 3 premierships. I don't know why.
He's proven enough, but it's just copying Ivan Cleary, man. If you're just gonna copy Ivan Cleary says, who's clearly like upset about his 5'8" leaving, then but contribute anyway. Thanks, Track Junkie. Michael Howers on the Facebook podcast post said, whatever happened to Big Willie's podcast? It was quality. I don't know, man. My understanding is I still get clips on TikTok for it, but thanks for the comment.
I don't think Tyson Campbell liked his podcast.
No. I'll ask Big Willie next time I see him, because I see him at Bulldog games all the time.
He's working with the Bulldogs.
Yeah. Jack Lando on the most overrated player. Harsh, but they're making some really good points, to be fair.
Okay, so he's given us a bit of credit there.
Yeah, he's actually watched it, unlike a lot of the other people.
Good man, Jack Lando.
Legend.
Thank you.
I love this one. Terry Patton on the Facebook most overrated player, the one that gets the most comments. Why is everyone so butthurt? We all get on social media and have our 2 cents worth. If you don't rate their opinion, don't listen. Personally, I don't listen to them, as there is so much content you can choose to brush past the ones you don't rate. Thanks for not listening, and also thanks for the comment.
I'm gonna comment here and tell them that I'm not listening.
Yeah, but also tell everyone just to stop being an idiot, because there are a lot of idiots on that. There's actually
he's right. He's right. Yeah.
We actually do get a lot of comments that are hidden. Not like Collingwood. It's just because if you're going to be abusive, you get your comment hidden. Like, that's it. Don't be an idiot.
Yes.
Lou Matthews on the most overrated player said, "What price is early death and brain damage? These blokes earn their money." Yeah. Okay. They can still be overrated, though. That's the thing. They can still be overrated.
Yeah.
Spear Don, who's still going, brother. Spear Don, you keep going, man. You just keep coming back all the time. Anyone can have a podcast these days, as long as the comments aren't hurtful or racial. People can discuss and have their say. Exactly.
Yes.
You don't want to listen, don't listen, don't care. As Terry Patton said, why is everyone so butthurt? Speed on comments has been commenting a lot. And the general, our number one fan.
Yes, he's gone on to episode 41 there.
Yeah, he's responded to you and
Yes.
me. And me. I'm not sure the Dogs will move Gould on. They made attempts to lure him when he was still at the Panthers, and I'm not talking the later years. Dogs have been in this hole of finishing bottom four since Des sacking, so they're used to it anyway. If they sack Gus, they've given up hope that things will improve and nothing changes.
Yeah, it's just at some point he needs to get results. That's all. And we're at year 3 now, and you've talked about it before, John, of year 3 being a crucial year. And, I'm not saying that they need to do a whole lot, but that we need to see some improvement this year, I think. We need to see some noticeable improvement. That doesn't mean that they have to make the top 8. I'm not saying that. But, yeah, just at some stage, we need to see that he's having a positive impact there, John.
Yeah, I liken it back to Todd Greenberg, right? When Todd Greenberg took over the Bulldogs, there was a lot of things he did initially off field, but in the back office because he's an administrator, that people couldn't see, and it wasn't translating through to the on-field straight away. And then after the second, or I can't remember exactly when he took over, but after the second year, it started to improve. So I remember there was one big thing that he said, it was about memberships right at the very beginning. He said when he first started at the Bulldogs, all of their memberships were being tracked by a spreadsheet by one person, and it was the receptionist of the club. So he created a membership team, and now they're the third or whatever it is most membership team in the competition, right?
Yeah, imagine how many members they'd have if they actually had some success on the field.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of stuff nobody sees or cares about. You don't care about how many, you can say we got 20,000 members and we've got the second most amount of members in the league, right? Something they don't have 20,000 members now, but you could say that and fans would be first or second year go yeah, that's pretty cool, and they would use that. But then when it hits the third year and it's we got 20,000 members and we got the second most members in the league, we come 16th every year. The fans will start asking for questions. And that's the thing with Gus Gould. He's into his third year. We've got heaps of success off the field. We've got heaps in the lower grades. We've got good recruitment coming in, good staff, blah, 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 blah. But 16th. 15th?
Yeah, at some stage you need to see the first grade team on the improve. You can't just keep saying every year, we'll keep Gus because he's Gus.
Yeah, exactly.
We want to see improvement, and we very much hope to see it this year, John. And if there's not, people like Gould and Serrato might be under serious question.
Yeah, Serrato, I think, got one more year in him. This is Phil Gould's telling year. Now, this is a long one from the general.
Yes, it is.
I'm a Panthers supporter. Sorry, brother.
Yeah. So what he was a Bulldogs supporter.
Yeah, because you talk about the Bulldogs all the time.
Yeah. He's a Panthers supporter.
Burton is... I guess Panthers supporters don't really have much to say.
Why would they? They're living life.
Exactly. Burton is better suited to centre. Won Dally M Centre of the Year in his first full season starting there, which is quite impressive. He's a big body. He has toe. I see the Freddie comparisons when he goes bang off his foot. He'd honestly be my first choice centre for New South Wales every year. Mitchell is never fit, and I don't trust Turbo's body. So we'll just address that quickly. I completely agree. Well, actually, Dan completely agrees with you. He's had Burton in the centres.
Yeah, well, there are, Latrell Mitchell, there's always issues with Latrell Mitchell. If it's not his fitness, it's some other issue, or he gets distracted by something. I know it wasn't Origin, but with the Kangaroos, he said supposedly he was out injured, and then he went and played in the Koori knockout. So you'd have to question his commitment to rep football a lot of the time. So that's a fair point.
Yep.
And yeah, you can't trust Turbo's body. I mean, it could break down at any time, and he got that pec injury during Origin last year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if as soon as Tom Travojevic is eligible, he withdraws from rep duty, to be honest. His club will want him to.
And he sort of owes Manly now.
Yeah.
The money he's on with the very little football he's played.
Exactly. But then onwards, here's a question for you, lads. Always sending you questions. Do you think if Burton played in the 2020 Grand Final, the result could have been different? Look at that Grand Final. It was Tyrone May marking Olam. Olam got one over him with that penalty try. Pappy got around May for the try off the scrum. Even before the half, when we should have been looking to going into the shed, 16 down and regroup. May throws a shit forward pass, trying to shift it in our end. Smith scores his ricochet try off that error on the stroke of halftime. That's 16 points by May, as Pap's try in the second half was unconverted. I wonder what could have been if Burton played left and Crichton right in place of May. He'd probably still be a Panther. Once we gave him all that centre spot, he was kissing the Panther emblem, wanting a backflip. It's all speculation, but I'm saying all this to say what an influence one player can have playing centre, and that's not even mentioning what Burton's strike could have provided in that game. Close to best on ground in the following grand final, real sliding door stuff, but that loss did put the steel in us. I don't think we beat South or Broncos, if not for the lessons learnt.
Yeah, so...
Extensive comment, brother.
Yeah,
like,
very
good.
extensive. It's good. I like the general. John, as you know, is one of our better commenters, absolutely. What I'd say to that, obviously Melbourne made a point of targeting Tyrone May in that grand final. But we got to remember Melbourne were up 26-0 in that grand final, and Penrith came back and made it 26-20, but it was another one of those games where the scoreline at the end didn't reflect the game. It was 26-20, but it felt more like 26-12 or 26-6.
Well, like for most of us, felt like 26-0.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what I mean? It wasn't... Yeah. And so I sort of think in response to this, well, if Tyrone May wasn't there and if Burton was there instead of him, well, Melbourne would have just found another weakness to have tried to exploit. I can't really say that things would have been different in a game where one team led 26-0 and had the game wrapped up at that point in time. That's something I just can't do. We can talk hypotheticals all day, John, but if a team gets a 26-0 lead in a grand final, I don't think you can sit there and say if, but, maybe this or that. Yeah. I think you've got to go, look, this team won it fair and square, don't you, regardless of what other, players in certain positions the other team would have thrown at them.
I think somebody retired in that, didn't they?
Well, it was Cameron Smith's last game.
Yeah, that was John, it. Yeah, that was what I was looking up.
So that was the end of the big three. So that's the
but he didn't know if he was going to play on until like bloody February the next year.
Yeah, he
but obviously Melbourne,
He dragged it out. Yeah, but that's the other point he made, is real sliding door stuff. That's true. I mean, that was sort of like, well, Melbourne, along with the Roosters, the two most successful clubs of the previous 15 years prior to 2020. And so then you sort of go, that grand final was sort of like a passing of the baton from the Storm on to the Panthers. And since then, the Panthers have just dominated, winning 3 in a row.
And I thought right from the very beginning, no matter what happened, no matter who was in the team, Melbourne were going to win. Because it was like Cameron Smith's retirement game. And Melbourne have a history of actually doing that crap in retirement games.
They pull your pants down on the big stage. They did it to the Bulldogs in the 2012 grand final. I thought the Bulldogs were going to win that game, but if you might remember, that came not long after Melbourne's salary cap scandal, and that was their revenge act on the NRL, was winning that 2012 premiership.
Yeah, and so I kind of thought no matter what, they were going to win. Look, Tyrone May had the worst game ever in the history of centres for rugby.
For rugby, general, he did.
Yeah, no, it was terrible. I remember screaming at him a lot.
It wasn't a great game.
But as you said, man, I think if Tyrone May wasn't there, Melbourne were going to find they would have someone else.
Obviously they identified him as a weakness. If Burton was there instead of him, I think they would have found another weakness, John.
And it's funny now because it's like Olam was there and he's on the outer at Melbourne now. He's fully going to get booted. He's probably going to the Tigers. But he was actually like the grand final hero in 2020.
It's a long time ago now, though, isn't it?
And that is an old saying that I don't think we beat South. General said I don't think we beat South or Broncos. It's not for those lessons learnt. It is an old saying. You have to lose one to win one.
Yeah, Melbourne probably taught them a lot of lessons.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what else I don't like? Look at it like 2023 looked like a repeat of the 2020 thing. Like Melbourne Panthers were down 18 points or whatever it was, 20 minutes to go. And this time they corrected that error. They finally they can wipe that clean. Doesn't matter if there was a lot of would have could have in 2020 where if the Panthers had have actually just scored one extra try, they would have won. Well, now they've done it. Now they've actually done it. They've come
this time they pulled off the comeback.
Yeah.
They got close in 2020.
So now they can actually say it, like, actually, we've done it. Thanks to the general and everyone else who comments, even the idiots. Just quick housekeeping. Don't forget to sign up, SmartB, and get a tip of the day. We did lose yesterday. I was quite sad. What we were discussing this morning is even if the tipsters say the horse is going to win, if you're not a professional punter, our best bet is to, like, what's what we're doing internally, put it on a place bet. You make way less money that way, but had a look, almost every single tip of the day has placed. There's only like 2 of them that haven't since we started it. So
safer bet, John.
Yeah. So yesterday's one was paying like $3.85 to win and $1.35 to place. I wouldn't have lost my $10. I would have gained $3.50.
You learned your lesson, John.
Yeah, exactly. But as always, bet with your head, not over it. Free and confidential support. Contact gamblinghelponline.org.au. As I said, sign up to SmartB, get the tip of the day. Also, the corporate box competition ends on Thursday.
The 25th, yeah.
You can go along with you and 17 mates, go along to watch a match in rugby league, cricket or basketball. Subversion competition as well. Don't forget to sign up and you can win 2 tickets to the Subversion event on April the 6th. The racing update is confirmed with Lewis and Bryce starting. It's going to come out every Friday, and I believe they said next Friday will be the first one.
Okay, great.
So that'll discuss racing news, tips. And so Bryce is one of the guys that's the tipsters for the tip of the day as well. He's very, very good. And so, I would definitely suggest you follow that if you're looking for some tips,
absolutely,
guides, and to become a bit more understanding of how racing works. I'm going to listen to it because of that, because I don't know anything about racing. And one of the comments on our Melbourne Cup podcast was the host obviously didn't know what he was talking about. That was me. This year I'm going to know. And follow SmartB app on social at SmartB app on all of the socials in the entire world. And we will see you on Thursday for our Australian Open second week preview.
Semi-final preview. Yeah.
All right, have a good one, Dan, and goodbye, producer John.